Hi there, I'm Brendan Davis. I'm the filmmaker behind the film The Unwinding. I'm wearing my crew t-shirt today to make it a little more clear, I guess. But I just wanted to record a very quick video and say a few things. First of all, thank you to everyone who has watched and enjoyed the film. I am blown away by the reception that it's had. As I record this Saturday, August 31st, the views are closing in on 100,000, and the likes versus dislikes, you don't see the dislikes on the front end page, but as the filmmaker, I can see the back end. It's 97%. It's like basically 2,000 likes, no, almost 2,000 likes as I record this versus like 60 dislikes. And I know as a viewer, sometimes if something's suggested for me that I'm not interested in, I will hit dislike without watching it, just as a way to train the YouTube algorithm to say, this is not for me. So I understand some people will serve the video who it's not for them, but 97% people liking it, the hundreds of comments, most of which were very kind, and I appreciate so much all the praise, and I've been sharing it on my Instagram channel. That's really the only social media that I use. You can find me at my name with my middle initial, Brendan K. Davis, at Instagram. I post film updates. It's mostly a fan page of me being an old dad and my baby daughter and my wife and our life here. But when I do have film updates, I post things on Instagram. But the response has been fantastic, and we got in a few festivals. It's really hard to program a long short film. This is something I used to teach my film students. Rule number one: make a short. Well, I haven't followed my own advice. The two short films I've made as a director in the last 20 years, I've produced feature films, and I've done a lot of documentary, and I've done commercial work. But the two short films I made in the last 20 years, this one and the one previous, were both 25 minutes long. So I seem incapable of making a short. But it's harder to program those, even if people like them. And I got some great response from festivals even who couldn't program it just because it takes up so much time on a 2-hour block of short films. One 25-minute film is, say 5-minute short films that can't be programmed. And so to get more exposure to more films, it's harder to program. But I've reached more people, thanks to YouTube, than would have ever seen it if I had gotten into every film festival I entered in, and some. So I'm very appreciative of that. And I just want to say thank you very much for all the comments. I wanted to address just a few things. One is the inspiration for the film, and two is what's next. So the inspiration for the film, I've said this in some of the comments where I've replied, but to kind of put it in one place here, the inspiration comes from a few places. One is that I think as any sentient adult in the modern world, you're going to deal with depression in some form or another, whether it's severe or whether it's mild. And I've unfortunately had several very close friends who took their own life. And when I wrote the first draft of this script 10 years ago, I was still living in Los Angeles and was going through a bit of a rough patch personally and professionally. And I wasn't in a place where David is in the film, but I could understand it. And I had a very close friend kill himself not very long before I was inspired to write the first draft of this. Never made it, put it on the shelf, but writing it sort of helped get that out of the system. But then the second piece of this is the older person dealing with depression, and as is clear in the feature script version of this, which I'll talk about in a second, is struggling with dementia as well, like the early onset of dementia and the awareness that something's not right with you. Depression itself is, of course, enough for the short film to motivate David, but the character is intended to really also be in the early days of dementia, and he's realizing that, and that gets played out more in the longer version of the story. So all these things came together. I've had several senior friends who I've seen dealing with dementia, and so in the last couple of years. And so when meditating on a topic, I wanted to make a short film last year when my wife and I were in the UK on our honeymoon. And when I was searching my notes folder for ideas, I saw the old script for this, and I thought, I could update this and add that layer into it specifically about, I aged the characters up. The characters of David and Chris were closer to my age when I wrote it, basically, because it was a lot more personal. So anyway, that's how we ended up with what we have. And the second thing that I was going to say is that the short film is intended to be, of course, a self-contained short film, and it is, and 97% of the people who watched it apparently got it and like that and agree and appreciate it for what it is, which again, I'm very thankful for. But I wanted to say that it is also the first act of a feature film that I intend to make. I have the script, and among my other projects, I'm developing a big movie as a producer here in France, as part of why we live here now. But as a director, the next thing that I want to make is the feature film version of The Unwinding. And without saying too much about it, the feature picks up where the short ends. It picks up when Chris makes a decision. He realizes what's going on with his friend David, but he goes inside. So at that point, the feature becomes a story that's really on two tracks. It's David and his world with Lily, who is very real to him and omnipresent with him. But then there's also the story of Chris, who's dealing with his friend and all the issues of how do you help someone who's going through the several things that he's going through. And so those two stories go through the rest of the feature, and I feel like it has a satisfying ending, and hopefully you'll get to see it one day. So anyway, that's all for now. I just want to say thank you again for watching. It means the world to me, and if you have any other thoughts or questions, I'll do my best to answer in the comments as I have been. So thank you for watching.